With that being said, we've talked enough about earnings. None of that money's going to any of us on this podcast or listening. So let's move on to something that we can use, which is Adobe.
We can use Adobe, and a lot of people. Well, that's to be discussed too. A lot of people are using Adobe, but maybe there's a lot of people that aren't. But the good thing about it is, Adobe has given you some reasons to maybe not give up on their product just yet. They are out there churning out new features. So we have a big update in the Photoshop world this week because guess what? Affinity Photo is out there, and Affinity Photo is starting to push on some of the Adobe Creative Cloud customers. So what do you get? Well, non-destructive adjustment layers, and this is something people have been asking for a long time, to be able to have some layers there that you could adjust or you could, make to your liking without them being destroyed. This is something that has been asked for years. I think Affinity Photo has had this feature for years. Dynamic text. I don't see this one a lot myself, but I'm assuming a lot of people use it. You have one-click arch text, bold text. You see the formatted text, and when you start putting graphics in with that, sometimes you have to go back and adjust that text. I've had to do that on like flyers and advertisements and whatnot. Well, dynamic text will help adjust that text for you when you put your graphics in there. So that is very helpful. We have improvements to Firefly, the AI service. Is anybody surprised that we have improvements to Firefly, an AI service for graphics? No. Generative fill has gotten better. Expand and remove has gotten better, and there is a better resolution or better clarity in the 2K output. Sharper detail, fewer artifacts, better lighting, and accurate prompt matching. So your generative AI will get a little better in Photoshop and Firefly for you. So the question here is it too late? And I'm going to be honest, I dropped the Creative Cloud 2 weeks ago now. We were up to 60 plus bucks a month for the whole thing. We have this thing out there called Canva that came out with their plan that is not quite to the level of the professionalism of Adobe. I get it. $120 a year. We have the Apple Creative Suite. That's roughly 120 bucks a year. Adobe, 60 bucks a month. They're going to have to put a lot more features into Photoshop, Premiere, Adobe After Effects, etc., to get me to go back over there. Now, I'm going to be honest. I have had some growing pains. I have almost pulled out the credit card and said, screw it. I'm going back to Adobe because that's what I'm used to. I like the way that ecosystem works. It fits together great. But we're again, 60 bucks a month because that Firefly is expensive. It's good, but it's expensive. I don't know that these updates are enough. I think we need to see better compatibility with Snapdragon. I think we need to see cheaper pricing options because what's out there is just unreal. I mean, if you go to cancel the service, they'll offer you a deal. I think they offered me $29.99 for a year, but here's the catch. You've got to commit to the year, or when you go to cancel, they charge you a prorate of the rest of the year. So there's no get out of jail free card. I don't know that this is enough right now. I get it. Good updates, solid updates, better features, but not enough. What about you?
I agree. I also think this is a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
There are a lot of users who are professionals, people who have been doing graphics editing for decades now that use Adobe. And I'm sure they've been managing to do what a lot of these AI features can do just with workarounds. These features, I'm assuming, are designed to entice new users who need to get things done quickly and learn on the fly of how to use this kind of stuff, and then become users of the product. The problem is new users aren't going to invest $60 a month for this.
That's right.
You need to get them in first, show them what AI can do, and then do the hook. The problem is that they can't afford to lower the price because they've invested on all these AI features that cost money to do. It costs money to use these models. It costs money to host the servers and all of this. So Adobe's not going to bring the price down, and new users aren't going to jump in with the price so high. So you're at an impasse right now, I think. Will these be beneficial to people that are already paying $60 or $50, or depending on an arrangement of plans, $40? I think you can do a couple. I think you can do Premiere and just Photoshop for that amount, or maybe just one of the apps for $40. I forget. In different situations, but nevertheless, yes, they will find this beneficial because it'll make their work life a little easier. All the workarounds that they've been doing, they don't have to necessarily do. I don't see this gaining more people, only because the entry point is so high right now. And again, they have the college discounts and stuff like that. So maybe kids in college who are, need some graphic editing. I'm still assuming if you're in college, $24.99 a month is still kind of high when you can go to Canva or Affinity or Filmora, all these other offerings for anywhere from $10 to $15 a month, and get just as much creativity or content created with these other platforms. So great on them, good on them to keep pace, because that will have killed them in the end if they're more expensive and offer less. But at least they can say we're offering the same amount, just more expensive. Moving on to the next thing, we have France is dropping Teams, and they're saying it's for a bit of digital sovereignty. That is legalese for we don't trust outside nations, in particular the United States, which is home to Microsoft. And I wrote about this particular kind of thing. We've been talking about it on the podcast about how this is going to become more of a trend. And it's partly because of pricing and the economy, worldwide economic economies. And the other part is because our government so far cannot be trusted, in particular, because of recent developments. But nevertheless, France has decided it's going to tone down its uses of Teams over the next 2 years so that it can have its own product. I believe the product is called Visio, VISIO. They plan to be fully migrated by 2027. So they'll still be using Teams for the remainder of this year, but they've also been, over the last year and a half, testing out Visio in their own infrastructure. Part of this, it's part of the suite Numeric, I think it's how it's put. It's a national productivity stack. So Teams is just the start of it. Eventually, they will probably drop Office and Microsoft 365 altogether. Microsoft should be a little bit worried about that. But France, I don't know how big of a footprint they leave economically for Microsoft, but it's expected to save, I think it's $1 million per 100,000 users in France. So it could save them a few $1 million to move to their own thing, which is, again, at the end of the day, that's how you justify a lot of these hardships and hard transitions. Again, they're saying the motivation, sovereignty, data control, reduce reliance on US cloud, because I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, Microsoft admitted that it can give Windows encryption keys to immigration, customs, and enforcement. And it's ICE is the more colloquial term we use here in the United States, but it's the paramilitary organization within the United States. It's going about imposing immigration laws. A lot of people don't want that information given out. And we were told that encrypting was the end-all be-all of our privacy and security. It ends with us, it starts with us and ends with us. But Microsoft's saying that's not necessarily the case. And I'm sure France already knew this beforehand, but now they're saying, okay, now that you've admitted it, let's start moving away from that. What are your thoughts on France moving away? And again, I think Germany was trying to do it as well.
I'm not surprised. And I think you're going to see more of this. I think there has been a idea that all these cloud providers we talk about, That's where we need to go. That's who we need to join. Well, now you start looking at, like you said, data safety, information protection, and these countries look at it and go, okay, we're giving all this information to the United States. Look what they may or may not be doing with it. So France says, okay, we'll do something ourselves. We'll do it for our people. We'll do it our way. I think you're going to see more of that. I think some of these other countries that possibly buy things from the U.S. cloud are going to look at some things that's going on in the U.S. without, turning this into a political podcast, and they're going to look at things and go, okay, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with what's going on with data. Doesn't mean Microsoft is necessarily doing anything wrong. Doesn't mean Google, Amazon, Oracle, or any of the other clouds are doing anything wrong. They're just not comfortable with the climate that they see. So they're going to do something else. Does it hurt Microsoft? Like you said, I don't know what the investment for France is, into Microsoft and 365 and Azure and all that good stuff. I have no idea. But it's something to watch. It's something to pay attention to.
I think it hurts in the long run. And I'm talking over the next 3 to 5 years. We had the case, I want to say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago in Ireland, where they were subpoenaing records from Microsoft, and Microsoft was kind of caught in the middle and suing to say that we can't give you these records because of users in Ireland, even though their data is stored in the United States. The United States government wanted access to it. Microsoft was saying, hey, we have, just because the data centers here in the States doesn't mean you have access to the data from international bodies. I think, I forget how that case actually ended up. I think Microsoft may have won that one. But that is, I think, the ringing bell to say, hey, we're going to start seeing more and more of that. Why don't we just bring our stuff in-house? Now, Microsoft offered the interoperability between nations. So again, if France does this, imagine what Spain doing, and Germany, and the UK. I mean, they're all going to probably do that. But how do these things communicate? They're going to need perhaps some kind of Linux-based interoperability kind of thing that serves as Microsoft, but over in the EU necessarily, to help these kind of things work in neighboring nations. Nevertheless, it's still, I think it's a good sign. I think it's bad for Microsoft, but good for customer choice and digital sovereignty, and knowing that, hey, my stuff is here. And if it does get hacked, hopefully it's from within our own nation necessarily. Who knows? I don't see it as a bad thing for users in France. I cheer them on. As a Microsoft user in the United States, don't care. But that's just me personally.
I do applaud them for trying something different, because sometimes it takes a big move to open new doors, and who knows what door this is going to open. So to your point, as a Microsoft user, I applaud them. Now here in the United States, do I necessarily care? No, but I applaud what they're doing.
Good on you, France.